What's going on, everybody? This is Adam Potash. You are listening to the Approach podcast. We have a very special guest planned for you today. But before we get to that, I want to introduce, I said sidekick last time, and you said you didn't mind that. But Victoria,
Don't
how
mind
are you
that.
doing today?
I'm good. Thanks, Adam. How are you?
You are my yin to the yang, so to speak. I'm doing fantastic. Busy as always. We've always got tons of things going on here at the Approach. We have
We do.
onboarded over 80 members this past week, so things are a little crazy. It's all good. We're helping a
Things
lot
are
of people over
good.
here. Yeah.
Yeah, and we've had some really cool updates to the app and things like that. So things are working really smoothly, which I'm really, really happy about. So hopefully
Yes.
another great week ahead, welcoming
Yeah,
new people.
as always, we just kind of roll with it.
Yeah.
So Easter's coming up. Any big plans?
We love Easter. Like we're a really big Easter family. So we've got plans right from Good Friday through to Easter Sunday.
And I know we have a
Various.
contest coming up in the community.
We do, yeah, we do. That's going to be posted today.
By the way,
So
I have to share this with our listeners because Victoria doesn't know what a peep is, and so
no idea.
so we we're doing a contest on count the amount of peeps are in the jar kind of thing, and Victoria didn't know what a peep was, so you
No
learn something
idea.
new every day. Yeah,
I know they look weird as well. I'll be honest. I'm like,
yeah.
what is that? But we
They're a
find
kid's
these things
favorite.
all the time. We find little differences from like UK to US all the time. Like the other day, I said to Adam, like, have you posted it? And he was like, what are you talking about? And we realized that you say if you put it in the mail, whereas we say
Yes,
if you put it in the post.
right, right.
So yeah, we get
But
these all the time.
I love all these little nuanced things that we figure out. So without further ado, Karese, how are you doing today?
I am well. I am well. Happy to be here.
Awesome. I am very excited to talk to you because it's not something that we, I guess, generally talk about all the time, a little different topic today, but please just start off. Tell us what you do.
I am a myofunctional therapist, and I'm sure you've heard that all the time. So it doesn't require
Oh,
much
it's like a
explanation,
daily
does it?
conversation in our house.
So, a biofunctional therapist is kind of like I like to compare myself to a personal trainer, but I work only with the muscles below the eyes, but above the shoulders. So, any dysfunction in that area is going to lead to poorer sleep, digestion, respiration. I mean, it's really just important for our overall health and function. So, I help to work to strengthen and coordinate the muscles in that wonderful region.
This is so crazy. Like this is like how'd you get into this?
Good question. Good question. It definitely wasn't something I thought about when I was going to school. It
Uh-huh.
came about from my primary profession. So I was a licensed registered dental hygienist, and I was working with a wonderful pediatric dentist. And that dentist was actually very focused and into airway and how all the muscles and work and all of that wonderful, good, juicy stuff that you typically don't get when you get to the dentist. Typically, it's all about your teeth, and then you leave and you go home. But this dentist actually put a lot of pieces of the puzzle together for me because I like to say I'm a mom of four, and I like to say that as parents, we always give the highlight reel, right? So if somebody says, how's everything with the kids? This one's in soccer, this one's in ballet, we've got a recital on
Oh,
whatever.
she's a straight A student. She's so smart. Yeah, yeah, right, right.
Exactly. Everything's great, right? But under all of that wonderful like highlight reel was a lot of things going on that I'm sure go on in a lot of other homes as well. My son is my only boy and my oldest. He had a lot of behavioral and impulse control issues, very inattentive, typical ADHD signs that we ignored and ignored and ignored because we thought, well, he's five, he's six, he's
Uh,
seven. Like, who's paying attention at seven? And it wound up to where we had a diagnosis, and we'll come back around to that because that was a false diagnosis. And then my
as
daughters,
usual, right?
oh my gosh, it's so
Yeah,
common.
yeah.
70% of them are typically misdiagnosed. So there is commonalities between my daughters now. So my daughters had a lot of sleep issues. I had one daughter who every single night we were guaranteed bedwetting, no matter what we did. She could stop drinking 4 hours before bed. We're
Hmm.
guaranteed bedwetting and some combination of some other sleep issues. So she would do sleepwalking. She had night terrors. She would be tossing and turning, falling out of bed. We had all sorts of issues.
Wow.
every single night. And the pediatrician was like, yeah, she'll grow out of it. Like she won't be 15 and still doing that. I distinctly remember that terrible advice. And my youngest two had a lot of upper respiratory things. So chronic ear infection, throat infection, ear infection, throat infection, congestion. Like it were always on antibiotics, those little two ones. And it's super common. I'm sure everybody's household has had some combination or some one of those where you can kind of relate to what I was going through. But it was actually working with that pediatric dentist that I realized that everything was really stemming from how they were using the muscles in this wonderful region below the eyes, but above the shoulders, how they were breathing, how all those muscles were compensating for their inability to do certain tasks that really led to a trickle down effect that impacted their sleep, their ability to breathe properly, their digestion, their cognitive development. And so once I discovered that I was able to like help heal my own home, I wanted to get out there and help as many people as possible.
That's incredible. And I love that you're touching on these things of like, you know, we just blow these things off and doctors kind of just chalk it up to, oh, they'll grow out of it and things like that. You actually like dove into, wait a second, these things shouldn't be normal, right?
Right. Right.
By the way, not to get off subject, but I'm loving the do here. I love this. This is very cool. I have to record some of this. We'll have to post it because I'm loving this style here. Have you always had this style?
Since 2018, yes, but I love it. It's like refreshing. It's just so wonderful to have a small amount of hair.
Very cool look. I'm digging it. I'm very much digging it. So what is so do you have like a practice now, or how are you helping people? Can you help people online? Like what's like a day-to-day?
So I do have a practice. It's called the Myo Spot. And what we do is in-person telehealth. We do a combination of a lot of that. So we do see patients globally. In addition to locally, I am in Florida in like sunny West Palm Beach area.
Oh, so, are you? So we're neighbors.
Oh, are we?
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, very much so.
That.
I'm in West Palm as well.
Sweet. I love that. Yeah. So we see people down here in this wonderful, beautiful sunshine state.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's been beautiful lately.
Isn't it? It's gorgeous. I love the weather.
Victoria's very jealous of our weather.
I'm really jealous. It's raining and it's miserable outside.
Oh, don't worry. We'll send you some sunshine. Just kind of
please.
But yeah, we could see patients day to day. It's really a lot of meeting with people, really putting the pieces of the puzzle together. A high education I have to do every single time I'm talking with somebody to kind of get them to understand what's going on and how these muscles are impacting. But then we do a lot of exercises, activities to really help to habituate new neuromuscular patterns that are going to help them have these wonderful functional lives for the rest of their life.
Now, I might have an ignorant statement, but do you work with like speech therapists at all and things like that to maybe kind of like combine certain movements?
That's a really great question. So with children, sometimes there is a lot of overlap. And so there are times where, yeah, I collaborate with speech therapists and we have to work together on a case because they have speech issues in addition to whatever their sleep, breathing, dental issues might be. And so we work together. With a lot of adults, though, we don't have as much overlap. There's not too much of the speech disorders with the adults that we're addressing and overlapping.
Gotcha.
Is it harder when dealing with adults to a degree because they've obviously had these issues for so much longer? So like retraining those, like I can't even imagine the thought of retraining these muscles because you've like used them every day, like your whole life. So like, what's the difference?
I would think adults think they know it all, right? Where kids will just go with the flow and listen.
Yes and no. So there's beauty of working with children in that you do see changes faster. They're malleable, right? They still have so much growth potential. And so you get like the aesthetics of it so much faster and it's easier with them because it's more playful, but that doesn't make them always compliant. Sometimes it's the parents really pushing them along because they've got no skin in the game, right? Whereas working with adults, they're paying for this. And so they're like, we're gonna make sure we get this done and we're gonna get the results. And so they're very, very compliant. But I actually do enjoy working with adults a little more than working with children because you get so much great feedback from them. So if I ask you to do an exercise and you're doing it and you notice that you get like a twinge somewhere, you're going to describe that to me. Whereas like a kid will be like, I don't want to do it. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't want to do it. And they don't give you any sort of reason as to why. So I kind of like the feedback because we can collaborate more as an adult patient to really get you to where you need to be and to modify things where we need to.
Well, I might be your next patient because I've suffered from TMJ, and I'm looking over kind of your bio here for, I can't even remember when I didn't have it. And I've tried all sorts of things. I've tried like the mouth guards. I think that made it worse. I don't know if there was any particular injury. That's always like the question, did you have an injury? I'm like, I don't know. I don't think so. But I've had TMJ for like ever, and like the jaw popping, it's just like part of my normal day life.
Oh boy, yeah,
Yeah.
that's a big thing that we deal with because a lot of the times you have some sort of disc displacement after so much dysfunctional use. That disc, it kind of slides off. And so now when you're using your joint, anytime you're opening your mouth, essentially, or when you're chewing, then now that disc is being, kind of moved around and shift around, and your condyle doesn't ride appropriately. There's a whole lot of science behind it and like the physics of why it's dysfunctional, I should say. And it's a wonderful learning process with myofunctional therapy for those who have TMJ, because we start to appropriate how you're using that disc, and you get such an education. You start to be more aware of things. You develop a new pseudo disc, so the disc starts to move back where it's supposed to be. That clicking, that popping stops. You don't have the lockjaw. Like, we're really getting you to a wonderful place where that blend of education and hyper awareness of what you're doing with your jaw really leads to better function overall.
Wow. I now I'm like super intrigued. And Victoria, I don't even know if you knew that, Victoria, but yeah, I've suffered from TMJ for like a long, long time, and just kind of like I'm just hopeless, I felt.
Oh no.
I mean, the reason that Karese stood out to me as somebody to have on the podcast is because I know that a lot of our listeners and a lot of our members, the one thing they often say when they're coming to us to change their diet and their exercise and those things is, oh, I want to sleep better. So I just thought it was a really interesting, if the changes that they've made with us haven't helped, then perhaps looking into something like this. So from that point of view, what would you say are kind of the signs or triggers that somebody might need to see you or have that type of treatment?
Absolutely. So any sort of TMD is a big thing. So TMJ dysfunction, TMD, that's a big one. If you are struggling with sleep and you're not sleeping well, so if you don't get restful sleep, you wake up in the morning and you still feel groggy, you feel tired. It doesn't matter that you've been in bed for 8 hours, you just don't feel well rested, your daytime sleepiness or daytime fatigue, that's a big, big sign, because a good portion of our quality of sleep has to do with how we're breathing. Breathing is our primary function. We can go for days without water, weeks without food, but not many of us can go for any more than a few minutes without air, right? And so when our body is struggling to breathe at night, that's when we're going to have issues with how we're actually cycling through those sleep stages. Will you hit REM? Will you be able to stay in REM? Or is your body waking you up because you're gasping for air or you need to breathe better? So breathing dysfunctionally while you're sleeping is a big, big sign. If you've had sleep apnea or anything like that.
I was just going to say that's such a big rising health concern in the last, I want to say like 10 years. You didn't hear about it before 10 years ago, right? And now it's just like everywhere. Everything is sleep apnea. Like everybody has it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, they say that like 80% of people are undiagnosed. And then, the CDC, Center for Disease Control here in America in 2015 had described sleep deprivation as a national epidemic. But then the WHO, World Health Organization, in 2019, doubled down and said, actually, it's a global epidemic. So a lot of people aren't getting great sleep now. And it's a combination of factors. I'm sure it's the diet, it's our how we use these wonderful electronics that we have. There's a whole bunch of factors that play into that.
Wow. So again, like I said, you're going to probably hear from me very soon here to try and get this TMJ under control. You're amazing. I know we can talk about this stuff forever because it is such a, yeah, go ahead.
I do have one final question. Sorry, because I just want to link it back to what you were saying about your children, because you said that you kind of started to use these techniques on them. So what was their progress like to kind of complete that journey?
Yeah, absolutely. So my son, because I think he's the most wonderful transformation that I've ever had. He was struggling. So by the time we hit 5th grade is when we really realized he's 10 years old. We have to go get him to a neurologist. We took him to the pediatric neurologist. We waited 6 or 7 months for that appointment. She asked us a couple of questions and then diagnosed him ADHD, gave us some medication. Over a year and a half, close to 2 years, we were on 3 different types of medication because like nothing was working and we had no idea what was going on. And it was when I was kind of working with that pediatric dentist in that time frame that I came across all this. And so I went back to the pediatric neurologist and I just mentioned like, hey, I think we're going to try to go a different route. Like I don't need a 4th new medication now. Like
Yeah.
I think we're going to try to look at his sleep. And she literally, with the most baffled look on my face, looks at me and says, why didn't you tell me he had issues with sleep? Did you know that there's an overlap between sleep and ADHD and that maybe he's not ADHD? And I said, are you crazy, lady? Like she asked me a bunch of questions and 0 of them had anything to do with his sleep.
Yeah.
So we stopped going to her for obvious reasons and
Yeah.
really started working on his sleep quality and with myofunctional therapy. And this boy who wasn't going to make it through 5th grade, who really struggled in school at 17 years old, was able to finish high school a year early ahead of all of his peers. Like he was just brilliant and just completely hindered by the fact that he was not breathing well and couldn't sleep properly. So he is my wonderful like case study and story. He is a phenomenal young man now at 20 years old, but he had just the most brilliant mind that was hindered by all of this.
I can't believe you have a 20-year-old. You have a 20-year-old son?
I have a 20-year-old.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
incredible.
I know. I feel really, really old.
No, you look so young.
That's good. That's good. I keep trying to tell him I'm 21, but then he doesn't believe me. So
yeah.
like, yeah.
Wow. No,
That's
that
awesome.
is an amazing story. And like I said, I'm gonna be your next client for sure. You have what is this? You have a something published, How to Sleep Better, Eliminate Burnout. Talk to us about that real quick.
Yeah, so I have a wonderful book. It's called Accomplished: How to Sleep Better, Eliminate Burnout, and Execute Goals. It is a wonderful, easy read. So one of the big things that I have is that I don't like it when people try to like over explain things, right? So I don't need a 300-page book about why I'm not sleeping well. No offense to Matt Walker, but it's like I need something that I can really digest quite easily to understand it. So I break down in the simplest ways a lot of what's dysfunctional about sleep and breathing and how you can naturally overcome that. I give great tips, and there's a wonderful 4-step process in there, my care process and plan, that helps you to really restore your sleep naturally on your own. And that book is available on Amazon. It's called Accomplished: How to Sleep Better, Eliminate Burnout, and Execute Goals.
I love it. We're so aligned in this because we try and simplify things every day in our world too, with weight loss and stuff like that. Obviously, you are subject to so many different things out there, and everybody's making it so complicated. And we do our best to just break it down to the simplest form possible. So again, thank you so much for this. Again, I know we can talk about this subject for hours and hours. I think a lot of our members are going to see this information as very, very useful, whether it's for them or their children, like you said. Tell us again where they can find out more information about you, and then we'll also link it in our podcast here.
Absolutely. So you can always find me on any of the platforms. I'm on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram at the Myo Spot, TheMyoSpot, or also on my website, themyospot.com, where I offer free consultations. I'm happy to talk to anybody at any time for zero charge about myofunctional therapy and how it may be beneficial for you.
I love it. Again, thank you. Thank you so much. Looking forward to talking to you soon.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.